So I'm using an example of a DM I got, but I mean this on the full scale of how it exists in the world.
And
so
let me just apologize for that DM.
I got this DM recently, and it is not unusual. I get these types of DMs all the time.
How
so
often?
not weird. Weekly, at least. I mean, if I'm actively posting, could be daily.
And this one stuck out.
Very normal. Yes, and this one stuck out. The reason I'm referencing... Okay, I'll tell you what it was.
I can't wait.
This guy responded to a picture. It was a male, and he responded to a picture... I took a picture of me and Steve sitting on his couch, and I'm in my leotard, and it's like from this angle, from the side. And so you can see like
I printed that one
full,
out.
full exposure of my legs. Like, it looks like I'm wearing like a one-piece swimsuit.
Like a
next to
40-year-old man printing out pictures of me.
Oh, God.
In about 2 minutes, this will be done.
So, like, of course, the picture is slightly revealing, although...
You're wearing a fucking leotard.
I mean,
Let's just get this
I've
out there.
I've
You're
worn-
wearing a leotard.
Yeah. I've worn like full lingerie. My nips
Yeah.
are almost out before, and I'm just being
And what are the links to those?
I'll send them to you.
Put them in the description for you guys.
I'm just being
Just
direct
link to
with
patreon.com.
how this picture looked. Okay, so the picture is yes of me in a leotard with Steve, and this guy responds like a DM responded to it and said something like. Oh, I must have said
Oh,
something
no.
in the picture
Here's
'cause
what
I
it was.
prompted him.
You're wearing the leotard, and I'm holding up my phone. And
Right.
on my phone...
And I did a zoom in. So
is
like
a
the next
picture.
photo and the next photo is like
Yeah.
zoom into Steve's phone because he's just like awkwardly holding in the background. It's very funny.
And I just so happened to be reading something. It was like a meme, and it said,
And there was an article about...
masturbating can save you from the coronavirus.
Yes.
And
It's
it was
just very hilarious.
It was just like
a
something I
Steve
happened to be
article.
looking at. And I thought it would be funny to hold it up.
Look, we're living in hard times. So stay up to date.
You gotta get your kicks where
Yeah.
you can.
Get your kicks. And so this guy DM responded and was like, said something to the effect of, "Oh, really? That's helpful, and I'm glad you gave me the material to do it."
He said you're doing are you providing a service because of that,
suggesting
or
the
something?
photo that I
Yeah,
had
that he's
just
masturbating.
right.
Or you're doing your part in helping facilitate that.
Whatever the verbiage was.
Brilliant.
The idea comes across. Anyway, here's what I want to say about this. So this guy has responded to loads of stuff. You know, you always have those people who respond to a lot of things you do that you don't know personally, but you have like an idea of their personality, or at least what their personality is when they're interacting with someone who they haven't met in person. So I have a really good idea of this guy's personality, and he's such a nice person. I mean, okay, for the record, everybody's going to give me hate. I don't know him personally. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. But you know those people who you get a feeling of who they are, and they're really sweet and nice and like good intentioned, most importantly. And so when he specifically writes me something like that, I feel there's so many feelings because he's not somebody who tends to just have bad intentions. Like, I really think he's just also a victim of toxic masculinity and doesn't understand that is like not okay to
Like,
say.
when you scroll up, it's not all thanks for letting me. Yeah,
It's
Right.
so nice. It's very supportive things. Like, I post my documentary and he probably responded to that being like, and which is about sexual harassment. And he was like, great, I'm so glad you're making things like, you know, nice shit, like truly nice shit.
And just really quickly before going on, just so it's clear,
Alana is my girlfriend.
what the person was implying with the reply was that image of Alana in a leotard was like
it's a good thing to masturbate
was like
to.
masturbation.
I was
fodder.
offering it to
Right.
for people to masturbate.
And
yeah.
in highlighting that my phone said masturbating can keep you safe from the coronavirus, he made a joke that like, oh, well, is this image supposed to help?
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah. And he's saying it jokingly. But so now that I've given that whole preface, the subject I want to talk about is like, we all know people who are like that, who have good intentions. And I think the vast majority, I'm going to just say it's more often guys. So of guys in that type of role have really good intentions, but they just have not quite been taught. Like, they've been raised in the same toxic masculinity that we've all been raised in, and it affects men and women and all sorts of people. And unfortunately, I think further down the line, when people like that take it too far and get pushback, it tends to be one of those things where, like, you know, when you're just blindsided by someone telling you you're wrong and you had no idea, everyone's initial instinct when that happens is just being defensive.
Yeah.
Just
Of
like,
course you think that. You think you're just feminist.
or even just like,
Right.
just like, what? I didn't, what are you talking about? I was just stepping one foot in front of the other. Like I have my whole entire life. What are you talking about? I'm doing something wrong. It just makes you immediately so confused that you just get defensive about it, right? And if we want a community that's able to like grow and move forward and not just to wait until Generation Z occupies the entire planet, like those conversations, there needs to be a light version of them as well to allow people to make that evolution. So it's not just like, you're Harvey Weinstein, fuck you, go to jail. But there's also people who were raised when Harvey Weinstein was making movies and they've been in a position to assume that's okay based on culture. Like, I don't think he understands. What I'm trying to say is, and perfectly exemplified by when I first started this, you guys are making all these like sexual toned jokes.
Right. Like he printed out the picture and stuff.
Right.
But
the
we
difference
respect
is,
you.
But the serious difference is in those comments, if you think of a comment you have or like a comment that's been said, if it is demeaning to the person who's the butt of the comment, that's not okay. If it's just about sexuality, like sexuality is a human thing. We can make jokes all the time. Like that's totally cool. If you're demeaning someone and saying that, that's the easiest thing to be able to tell you if it's not okay. Yeah. And I don't think we really talk that through enough for especially men in that position to really understand, oh, that's when it goes too far.
Great stuff, Alana. That's really good. Sorry about my joke.
No, your jokes were great.
Yeah.
I love those are hilarious.
You gotta make them, but
we're all friends, and you
We're
respect
friends,
Alana, and
I know that,
and she knows that. And this guy is just some random guy that like previously has said nice things or whatever, and hasn't been a problem.
If one of you
that
said,
made you uncomfortable.
well, not you. If you or somebody in our relationship position said to me like, "Oh, haha, you posted that picture so I could masturbate to it," that would probably still be too far.
yeah, there's a couple different messages with that message that aren't just, haha, I'm masturbating
Exactly.
to you. There's also one of going, there's also the desire to tell you, which is in and of
Another
itself
whole
weird.
thing. Yeah.
And there's an assumption of familiarity that I think I can relate to that part, not in
sure.
a necessarily being, what's the word when you're
Sexualized?
or objectified? Yeah.
Objectified.
Maybe not in that case, but in being a public human being, in our audience, having been with us for so long, there's often a sense of assumed familiarity where I have shied away in the past year a lot from being more active on social media, because there is this thing of people speaking in a way that isn't necessarily mean, isn't necessarily anything other than a joke, but I still go like, I don't know you. Like I don't
the
find,
intentions aren't bad,
like,
but it's too much.
yeah, the ribbing or the there's roasting, there's stuff like that happens where I'm like, you don't know me and you have no right to talk to me that way, even though I'm sure you're a nice person, you mean nothing bad by. And knowing that I also put myself in that position or something.
Yeah,
like that.
there's
And that's
totally two
all a
layers, because
root-
there's the
and
public personality
yeah.
layer and there's the toxic, like the low-key toxic masculine environment we've been raised in.
Totally,
layer.
and there's a bunch of different things at the root of that. Being toxic masculinity and pop culture and movies and the news and things like that. And another, and also a president grabbing people by the pussy and shit.
Yeah.